Dan, thanks so much for joining us. How you
Pleasure.
doing?
Very good, thank you. Excellent. The weather's brilliant, which is obviously why I've signed in Northampton anyway. So
I was going to say, did you bring it from Wales?
no, definitely not.
You joined us for a Facebook Live, but obviously you're here for another reason as well. Just tell us what you're doing in Northampton these last couple of days.
Yeah, well, I met Chris Boyd and Sam Vesti, which was brilliant. Had a good sit-down chat with them and discussed sort of the plan for pre-season, when ins and outs and things, and the plan ahead of the season. So I think all Saints supporters should be really excited by the appointments that they've made in terms of Chris and Sam. Both got a very, very good knowledge of the game, and I think obviously their record speaks for itself. So I think it's all gearing up to be a really exciting season in Northampton.
Obviously, you only met them for the first time, so it's hard to gauge people straight away. But as we know their CVs, what are they like as guys? What did you make first impressions?
Yeah, well, again, first things first. I think that's the most important thing. I think you've got to be you've got to be a good bloke and a good sort of guy to go on top of your rugby knowledge, and everything speaks for itself there. But they seemed accommodating, in terms of if we had family things on or if we had different things on in the summer or in the season. They said that no problem if you need to go to that. And so, like I said, it all comes across really positive, and I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into it and starting in sort of mid-June.
That's obviously all part of the transition that the club's going through at the minute. It's obviously not been the greatest of seasons, but coming into that kind of period in the club's history, is that something that excites you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone's aware that it's been a little bit of a difficult season, but you look at the Premiership as a whole, there is absolutely no easy games, and if you're off it by 10%, you're probably going to come unstuck in a lot of games. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think the bit of freshness and a bit of fresh voice will make a huge difference, and I think knowing a few of the lads here, I think they'll respond well to it, and I'm just really looking forward to really trying to put my stamp on the team and try and improve, and I enjoy being in the area as well.
What was it about the area, the club, that attracted you to Saints? I guess the bigger picture rather than just rugby.
Yeah, I mean, what the tradition this club has got is massive, and the success it's had over the last 10 years is something which I wanted to be a part of, and I'm aware that probably the last couple of years it hasn't been where the supporters and the whole club would probably want to be, but I see it as a challenge and as something to try and get the Saints back into those sort of playoff positions and challenging for silverware again. So I know it's going to be a tough ask, and I think we've got a lot of work to do, but that's why I wanted to come to a club which has got a huge fan support. The stadium is absolutely top notch, and it's just a really exciting place to be. And I think moving forward, there's going to be a lot of good signs coming. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I want to be in a team which I can improve and make a difference to.
Just one on Ospreys. Obviously, you've been there for a long time.
Yeah.
I guess it was a difficult decision to move, wasn't it?
It was a difficult one, but I think it was at probably the time in my career where it was the right time to make a move, and the offer came up here, and I sort of jumped at it really because it was again a fresh challenge for myself and my young family, and just really, like I said, it was a difficult move because it's all we've ever known, and we don't know anything other than turning up to Swansea and Llandarcy and training and putting your boots on and training, and how the days are run there. So it's going to be it'll be a challenge, and it'll probably take a couple of months to sort of bed in and get to know the areas and different things. But I think that's part and parcel of moving club as well, and that's what excited me a little bit as well. Is it's not just the rugby and the on-field stuff, is the off-field stuff, and getting being out of your comfort zone and getting to know how things are done. And I think, as well, speaking to Chris yesterday, I said I didn't want to be a guy in my whole career who went through a whole career just playing for one club and not knowing how other teams or other coaches perhaps do their training sessions or their day-to-day basis. So just something which I felt was the time was right, and albeit pretty sad to be leaving because it's been a massive part of my life and career, and I hope that I could be as successful here as I have been there.
Obviously, there's a bit of a buzz around the club at the weekend after the result up at Leicester. Were you watching? Did you get to watch that game?
Yeah, I did watch it. I tuned in. I came home. We played Ulster on the Friday night and got home, and my wife handed me the little one. So it was. I had a 5-month-old on my lap watching the game. But first things first, I hope, obviously, best wishes to Rob Horne. I know he had a nasty injury, and I hope he's doing really well. So, but the game itself, I think it was probably the perfect game for what the club needed, in terms of, I've been through situations before where you've been on a little bit of a bad run, or you've had a couple of tough losses, and all of a sudden you need a derby game away from home to really fire you up and really sort of sharpen the brains. And I thought the energy and the passion the guys showed, but the tries they scored, that shows what the club is and the team is capable of. So I thought it was a brilliant performance against an informed Leicester team, and to win at Welford Road at any time is, I think it's 11 years since the club won their last. So I think that should give the boys in the club a huge boost going into the final 2 games of the season.
And hopefully for next year as well. Just looking ahead to next season again. A few other big signings made alongside yourself. Is there anyone in particular you're looking forward to linking up with? I guess from the new guys and who are already here.
Yeah, well, I think obviously spending a bit of time with Courtney in the summer. Really good bloke, and I suppose I'd sum him up as a player you'd want to play in your team with, rather than have coming up against you, which I've had a few times, which is pretty unpleasant.
Has he ever got you?
He's had me a couple of times, yeah. So it'd be nice for a couple of years not to have that coming at me, rather than on the same team. So yeah, he's obviously someone, and I've heard a lot of massively good things about Dylan as well, in terms of the way he leads the team and off the field, and so I think those 2 guys in particular are the 2 that stand out a little bit for me in terms of looking to spend time with and play with, and I think Dylan, boys have spoken very highly of him who've been here, and like I said, sometimes he gets a bit of a bad rap, but from what I've heard and think he leads the team absolutely brilliantly, and is someone I'm looking forward to playing alongside.
Obviously, you mentioned you played against a lot of these guys earlier in the season. You signed for Saints, the draw was made for the Champions Cup, and when we were pulled out the hat alongside Ospreys, it was almost meant to be, wasn't it? What went through your mind when that happened?
Well, when the draw was made, it was, I think, only myself and sort of like Paul Shields, the team manager, and a couple of guys knew, so I had to sort of keep it a little bit low key for a little bit, but it was sort of just, it was just one of those things. We had a bit of a wry smile, and it was kind of strange, but I suppose sport does that a little bit, and it was enjoyable, playing alongside future teammates in the coming season. But it was just, like I said, it was a strange couple, because I think as well, it was both teams were probably struggling a little bit at that point when we played each other, and from the Ospreys point of view, we managed a couple of wins, but it was 2 tough games, and you wouldn't expect anything less. But it was really, really good to play against the boys, and like I said, I just hope we can play some positive rugby coming from next season now.
You were up here as a pundit for the first game as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
I know you got to meet a lot of the supporters, and I guess it was a tough game to comment on for you, having a foot almost in both camps.
Yeah, I enjoyed doing the punditry bit, which was really good, and I think just mentioning the supporters, that all of them were incredibly sort of friendly and really welcoming up here, and asking, have I found a place to live, and different things like that, and offering their opinions and things, which was brilliant. And I think that's another thing which really sold it to me, is in terms of the fan base it's got. You're getting 13,000 or whatever it is every week, and it's a proper rugby ground here. We've got an absolutely magnificent stadium in Swansea with the Ospreys, but it's a football stadium effectively, and this is a proper rugby ground, and you get the atmosphere week in, week out, and like I said, the fans are absolutely superb here. So I've been here a couple of times and been on the end of a couple of tough results with playing against Saints. So, and I think the supporters make a huge difference there. And I think that's just something which, you're not going to get things right on the field all the time. There's going to be weeks and spells where you have a tough period. And I think it's just the supporters have just got to accept that the boys are always trying. And this bunch of supporters, at times I've played here, have been absolutely top notch.
Right, I'm just going to take some messages from the crowd quickly. We've got Jan North, who says, "Good luck, Dan." Jan North, is that Mr. George North?
I was going to say, it could well be, yeah, I think it is.
Bernie Kilcullen, welcome, Dan. Tracy Edwards, a little Saints man. Glad to have you at the Saints. That's Lee Taylor. Jane Wilcott, welcome to the Saints. Got a lot of people watching, lots of thumbs up. Dan, we'll finish with a couple of quick-fire ones. I know you saw these questions in advance, so hopefully you're prepared for these. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Whoa, competitive.
Okay, nice, that's good.
Yeah.
How would you describe Saints in one word?
Hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Dan, hopefully next season we're on to big things with you. Good luck for the rest of the season with Ospreys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, it's been a pleasure.